Alright, we're going to be reading the Department of Defense Weapons System Acquisition Reform Product Support Assessment of November 2009. It was off the DAU website, and we're on Chapter 1. The Product Support Challenge. Background: the product support challenge, also referred to the system sustainment, is the package of the support functions required for the maintaining of the readiness, operational capability of the weapon system, subsystem, software support systems, encompassing material management, distribution, technical data management, maintenance and training of the cataloging, configuration management, engineering support of the repair of the parts, of the management, failure reporting, analysis, reliability, growth of source of the product may become organic or commercial, but the primary focus is to optimize the customer support to achieve the maximum weapon system such availability of the lowest cost total ownership of the cost, product support, and the primary means of the war fighting-driven material readiness for the expectations are accomplished by the weapon system life cycle. The product support is essential components of the Department of Defense portfolio military capabilities, drawing in organic government-owned commercial industrial labor facilities, assess the product of the support division involving integration various capabilities options to optimize warfighting of the support weapon system availability within affordability and constraint. Ultimately, the product support is anchored in the need for the warfighter than that most consistently delivers those capabilities required at the tip of the spear. The concept is behind today's product to support the date in the back of the more than a decade of the official years of 1998 in Section 9112 of the National Defense Authorization Act and the July 1999 product support of the 21st century report of the Department of Defense Product Support Re-Engineering Implementation Plan, which responds to Section 912 to see the congressional requirements. 1999 report focused the Department of Defense ability to realize four key focus areas. These were the re-engineering product support process, the best commercial practices, competitive source of the product support, monetization through the spares, expanding primary vendor and virtual primary vendor measures success toward enabling and implementing these focus areas were determined by the factors in Table 2. Table 2 is the factors improved for the product improved for product support. Integrated logistic chains focused on the customer service customer relationship based on an output. Logistic chains integrated with across the industry and the government-based value of the provided with the source selected government industrial partnership support environmental with the maintains long-term competitive pressure. Secure integrated with the info system across the industry government and enabling the supply chain integration with the full assessment and visibility. Continuous improvement of the weapon system of the RMS. Dedicated investment, effective integration with the weapon system, focused with the support is provided for the total combat logistics. In 2002, the Department of Defense delivered a status report on the product support reform. The initial progress report documented some success, providing with the promise of the continuing improvements in product support reform. However, the events of the September 11, 2001 changed the focus of the department and almost overnight, and the impetus of the product support transformation was transcending with the compelling with the need for support warfighting in the two remote estrue environments. Affordability with supportability became less of the priority of warfighting readiness need to became paramount. Yet, in spite of the prolonged warfighting involvement with the contingency actions over the past decades, key product support initiatives were still implemented. Foremost among these, Department of Defense adoption for the performance-based logistics and outcome-based approach, and it is performed as a sustainable strategy. The approach linked with the subject, the objective, the resource of the system, performance of the repair, the supply activities, goals, and incentives became structured above the system performance, not failure. The risk was shifted to be supported to the provider. The performance-based logistics became the Department of Defense, the Department's performance sustaining strategy because it delivered the highest equipment of the readiness level applied with the best commercial practices provided with the inherent product of support integration with the provided with the common strategy to bridge the acquisition sustainment communities, public and private partnerships, and with the Department of Defense depot maintenance activities established with formal cooperative agreements with the defense contractors because the norm in the many of the systems of support strategy. The Department of Defense maintenance depot has benefited with the from a natural association with the performance-based logistic public-private partnership. The partnership enabled the best use of the public and private sector competency while preserving the vital organic industrial base. The Department of Defense also initiated policy to facilitate lifecycle product support management to raise the awareness of the need to bridge the acquisition and sustainment communities. For most among these assignments of the total lifecycle system management and role of the Department of Defense program manager, making these accountability not only with the acquisition of the Department of Defense, but also planning, implementing, managing, and sustaining the system through the lifecycle. Other than the change of the acquisition requirements, the policy enabled increased the focus on lifecycle, the perspective codifying the concept of disposal integration with the weapon system acquisition acquisition, sustainment, planning, oversight in the process. The Department of Defense began with the transfer of how to develop and support the weapon systems. In the military departments displayed an example of the excellence of the product of the support reform. Since 2005, the Secretary of Defense has recognized 18 programs across the service for excellence of the outcome base of the support approach. The over 200 examples of the performance-based initiatives, notable examples of successful the component subsystem system levels and service areas have been developed in the broad set of service-specific initiative policy-based enterprise-wide product of support goals as sample set is outlined below. Figure 2 is significant service policy initiatives in support of the performance-based applications. To the left, you have the Air Force Integrated Lifecycle Management Policy, the Integrated Lifecycle Management Executive Forum, Integrated Lifecycle Management Product Support Strategy, Performance-Based Logistic Best Trends, Contractor Logistics Support, Next Generation Air Force Global Logistics Supported Center, the Aircraft and Availability Improvement Program, the Assessment Marking and Tracking Expeditionary Combat and Support Systems, Repair Networking Integration, and the Product Life Cycle Management. The Army has an AR-700-127 performance-based logistic policy automated with the performance-based logistic reporting tool, the performance logistic IPT, integrated product something technology, BCA moderate with the system, the planning of the requirements of the system of the SAIPARs, sustaining readiness from the policy of the SRR policies, reliability measures, material release, and the policy weapon system reviews. Navy, the guidance, the performance-based logistics guidance and document second Navy SN 5002C, guidance for developing the performance-based logistics BCA. ASNE and RNDA memo for the DONs guided with the developing of the performance-based logistics BCA, the spec certification requirements, and handbook of the RNM and RNA. The RAM incorporated with the acquisition governance progress, operational availability as key performance and parameters memos. Product support today. 10 years later, the need for reform still exists, and the effectiveness of the product support is an enduring challenge within the Department of Defense. Despite the documented success of many of the programs, there remain significant obstacles effective with the implementation performance-based, outcome-based, of the strategy, especially when viewed against the 1999 product support reform goals, notwithstanding the success of the performance based on the 80% of the product of the support remaining largely transaction-driven. The supply chains that are still functionally driven. The maintenance is not fully integrated with the end-to-end supply with the chain. The supply chain is visibility for the development is being incorporated into critical to the Department of Defense, in particular in troubleshoots. In spite of the ongoing initiative of the program, the critical need for the comprehensive end-to-end total visibility has still not been achieved. The Department of Defense emphasized with the joint requirements and joint strategy of the product support has been afflicted on uneven implementation messages and the lack of consistency senior leadership and endorsement strategies. Yet few join in sustainment strategic exits in spite of the intense human capital improvement efforts of the segment of the Department of Defense workforce still makes a claim the insufficient product support integration of knowledge and skills. While the current product support process generally meets with the military service readiness standards, it does while continuing to harbor inheriting efficiently and higher than necessary costs. More of the work also needed to be done with the foster competition across the Department of Defense industrial base. The Department of Defense's 5,000 series policy emphasizes the power of the competition, with the opportunities remaining to promote the competent pressure throughout the life cycle. The Title 10 requirement of hindering the ability to allocate the work based on the best capability, the best value. In spite of the several efforts that remains with the needs for the re-engineering of the final process for the accommodated with the enabling the performance-based sustainment strategies, a major challenge for the program managers charged with the responsibility accountability for the lifecycle support. For the past 10 years, the lifecycle management has been strategic product for the support of the framework, while performance-based logistics has been tactical approach in the face of the challenging national security threatening of the performance-based logistics greatly improved with the material readiness. While many of the performance-based logistic applications have been implemented over the last decade, most do not meet the key characteristics of the mature performance-based logistics only as it covered the very small portion of the weapon system, having a greater availability of tires and auxiliary artillery power units, causally affecting the warfighter capability, but effectively may be limited in some other subsystems. Avionics and engines are not similar at availability driven. The process is increasing with the service number. The performance-based logistic programs have completed with the misclassification of the product support strategies. Traditional transaction contract with the minor performance and incentive. The clause has been incorporated correctly labeled as a performance-based logistic, resulting in not an inaccurate counts of the performance-based logistic program, creating the confusion regarding with what it was and what it is not. The performance-based logistics, the performance support assessment team effort, the Department of Defense, into gleaning the lessons learned from the past decade with a richer understanding of successful business models for the product support. And it's not time for the examining the lessons of the performance-based logistics, but the formulated path ahead of the culling and the best practices of the outcome-based of the approaching the drive down cost while remaining with a high material readiness. Independent report findings and implications. Independent agencies echoed the need for the continued product of the support reform. The acquisition and sustainment process areas of both span, but the product support are the subject of continuing scrutiny from the outside of the department. Department in the 2003 Government Accounting Office, the critical focus of the reach of the development process itself, recommended an outcome-driven life cycle approach. Over the past several years, the Government Accounting Office has been released to reviews of the implementation of performance-based logistics, highlighting the set of the implementation gaps that may be addressed. The finding of the both of the reports that note the need for the robust ongoing analysis outcome based on the product support results. From the Defensive Business Board that has also been taking an interest in the product support. In the January 2009 echoes of some of the 1999 recommendations of the Defensive Business Board, suggests the key priority should be to align with the manufacturing service suppliers of the department to optional meet the department's meet mission requirements. There also has been a significant analysis commissioned by the service looking at the various aspects of performance-based logistics. For example, the Center of the Naval Analysis pointed out the need for more performance-based logistic contracts competitive with the reward. In 2008, the United States Air Force, in partnership with the University of Tennessee, completed with a review of the current status of the performance-based logistics implemented across the section of the programs. While some of the best practices implementation of the performance-based logistics were sent into the spite of the performance-based logistics policy set forth the Air Force Instruction 63-101. In general, the USAF implementations of the performance-based logistics deemed inconsistent in scope and impact application of the best practice. There are sobering critiques that do not challenge the underlying logic of the success of the performance-based outcome-driven strategies. Instead of the collective charge challenging whether the implementation of the strategy is effective, it should be. They do not support the abandonment of the approach. Rather, they identify the opportunities to deliver even more powerful results. Supporting data analysis. Previous product support reform efforts have been conspicuous in the absence of support of the data in the performance support assessment team that considered the critical not only to be put forward solid recommendations on improving the Department of Defense sustainment environment, but those that recommendation of solidity supported with the comprehensive data analysis. 34 of the segment of the Department of Defense systems were included in the analysis. See Appendix A for the full discussion for the results. These results were consistent with the outcome based of the partnership oriented strategy, consistently provided with a greater deal of the readiness at more affordable than cost than traditional transactional support strategy. The data provides for the basis of the tangible conclusion of the recommendation versus the subject proposal offered by the many previous studies. The case for change. The case for change. As we progress in the 21st century, the Department of Defense, the dual change is the persistent expeditionary military presence of the period of enduring conflict. Success in the context measured by the Department of Defense ability to sustain enforcement, maintain equipment, and while concurrently preserving its ability to display the flexibility meeting the involving the changing operational conditions of irregularity, warfare, stateless actors, further a more global economic, environmental, internal competing domestic requirements, further scarce resource creating, and the imperative of the Department of Defense to do more with this. The reality is supplemental expenditures will not come into their current levels indefinitely as they diminish system sustainment will be again with the target of obtaining the need for the cost reduction. If no address will be planned for the reform initiatives, product support analysis can cripple the Department of Defense budget. This will be continued the pressure of the Department of Defense to reform to deliver the cost-effective product support while the accommodation rapid and agile acquisition. Figure 3 noted 11. Defensive OS needs for keeping growth and are likely to grow beyond the Department of Defense capacity to meet. It shows years for 1990 straining for to now and to 2024. While we were in the investment in the operational supporting military construction, facility, and housing in 2008, it got hit a plateau. It took its peak and got a plateau to the December 2002 projection, with the total unbudgeted costs and unbudgeted costs still on a high plateau, bigger than about at $600 billion. The Department of Defense also faces new economic, political, and environmental consequences the department can anticipate, with the significantly financial compression mandate to lean itself based on the current with the project of the financial reality. The administrative effect of adopting the real growth policy in the Department of Defense base budget. However, in Figure 3, the current Congressional Budget Office, the projections show the gap between the history and the project acted by DOD judges and the Department of the appetite for the resource of DOD appetite for the resources not lessen personal costs of the growth of the historical average of 1 year per year operational maintenance. The operational maintenance cost and the growth average of 2-3% per year. This is not a new development. The Department of Defense cost and assessment and program and evaluation CAPE organization formed the Department of Defense Analysis Evaluation has similar figures dating back to 1968, showing the same trend for over 40 years. Various base realignment, closures, rounds, acquisition reform initiatives, and other sustainment cost reductions, but that has been able to effectively control these costs. They may cause resources for the acquisition new system to become increasingly scarce in the long term. Finally, the Department of Defense organic-based content does not perform the entire product of the support work, and the American industrial has been the vital component with the national security capability since the Revolutionary War. Thoroughly, all the wars and conflicts have then followed the greater arsenal of democracy, as characterized by the Franklin Roosevelt, is source of innovation, the productive capacity of the military force. Yet, not over the 60 years after the motive of the defense of the industrial emerged with the following World War II, the Department of Defense still fails to fully leverage the knowledge and skills and capabilities of the government organic industrial defense industrial base through considered integrative strategy. For example, the Department of Defense increasing reliance with the foreign suppliers offers expanding capability and risk there here to and there not to understand nor address in the time of increasing the service. Life for the deployed weapon systems, spiraling cost estimates for the scheduled acquisition. There is a clearly need for the innovation to provide more accurate life cycle planning, more affordability, product, and more sufficiently delivering readiness of the warfighter. Outcome-based and integrated partner strategies provided with the opportunity effectively optimizing existing military assets for retired excess assets and providing much needed relief for the continuing budgetary pressure. Conclusion. The national security, economic, and environmentals dictate the tough-minded acquisition reform and the logistic transformation, the challenge for the affordable constraints, the need to reset the equipment, infrastructure, continuing persistent operation of the tempo prescribed, and the clear and need for the Department of Defense integrated plan to address the product support of the cross of Department of Defense enterprise. Successful change in weapon system product support will be measured with the reduction in cost while managing equal and greater equipment readiness support required warfighting equipment capabilities. The Department of Defense formed with the acquisition reform improved the lifecycle management practices, product support improvement as in the nexus of the critical efforts. Recommendations include the net to this report and the implementation actions necessary, signifying the improvement of the product support capabilities and affordability. Chapter 2, Management and Analytical and Approach.